Welcome to the Vetiver Vibes podcast. We're your hosts, Nikki Frazier and Rachel Dean, certified clinical aromatherapists. We are excited to have you here on today's episode where you know that you'll get the best essential oil scoop.
This episode is brought to you by Essentria, a leading online school for aromatherapy. If you want to learn more about aroma massage, check out the courses at www.schoolofessentria.com.
Hi, welcome to this week's episode of Vetiver Vibes. Nikki Frazier here with Rachel Dean, and today we're talking about just thinking outside the box.
Yes, that's something that we need to do as aromatherapists for sure. We meet with lots of different people, and they have lots of different issues going on. So we are trying to always gather as much information as we can, and then we have to kind of decipher it and figure out what it is that we've been told. So it's not always straightforward, and we need to kind of use critical thinking skills and figure out kind of what's happening. And you have to be able to figure out too, if someone gives you says something like, I have heavy periods or something, and it might seem like that's not even what they're talking about though. Maybe they're talking about they have a digestive issue, but you need to pay attention to all the things that someone has told you, because it's important when you're picking out your oils that you're going to use for them for blends. So
absolutely,
just, things that we're thinking about, as Nikki and I have done lots of courses. Nikki's taking a bunch of courses currently. So, she's using these skills regularly. I have to use these skills regularly in my day-to-day job as well, as I negotiate contracts for a living. So I'm always looking for those little things to see what it is that is the important parts. And so we just thought we'd chat a little bit about how we can use those skills and kind of some ideas on what it is you should be looking for when you're thinking about either a case study, either the mock case studies that you might have to do, or real case studies. So you can try to figure out what those important words are that kind of come across your desk and why.
Or even just everyday things, right? I'm just thinking right now, I'm currently finishing up 2 courses, and I have another course ready right there. As soon as I told myself I couldn't start this next one until these 2 courses were done.
That's a good idea.
Within the next month, those 2 courses will be done. I'll be able to move forward and start my next course. I am literally always taking courses. And it's important when taking courses, or just even in everyday life, of looking at the big picture. I have a lot of things that come across in my studies where I'm like, oh, what is that? Or, the instructors have talked about it, but I might still be stuck on a concept or not fully understand. And I always like to first do my own little research before going back to them. So I always like to first reread what it is that I'm reading. Did I fully understand it? What parts did I understand? What parts do I maybe need a bit more clarity on? And the parts that I need more clarity on, okay, is there somewhere else in the course that's explaining this more? Or where can I look for further information also? My first thing isn't usually to go straight to instructors. That's my personality. I always like to try and, do that critical thinking on my own first. If it's a term, dictionaries are always there. I harp on my own children constantly as to, they're asking what different things are. I'm always asking, do you understand this word? Do you understand that word? And I literally they always want to go straight to the computer dictionary. And I've got old school dictionaries that I'm always like, no, let's pull out the old school, because then they can see other words around it and different things like that too. But, so I'm always looking at big picture aspect. And what you said earlier, there was something that just made me think of too, this is why we have health history forms that we have to go through.
Yes.
They might be coming in, like you said, for digestive issues, but as the example you used, through this health history form, and often people forget to put things on health history forms, which is why it's always great to ask questions and chit chat and different things like that with clients when you're seeing them, where all of a sudden, it might be heavy periods or scanty periods, or I don't remember which one you said, comes up, and it's like, oh, okay, so let's keep that in our mind frame, so that, let's say if it is heavy periods, then I'm not going to use oils that are known to
To
trigger
make that
anything
worse.
like that. Yeah. Right. Versus
Yeah.
scanty periods. Okay, let's find things that will help with flow. Let's help things like circulation and all of that type of stuff too. So it's really looking big picture at the whole thing, which is why, health history when I'm with clients is important, or just everyday life, looking at what's happening around that situation.
I think it's hard when you're an aromatherapist because you want everything to be straightforward where, you know, you want this one oil that's going to help with a tummy ache, and you want that one oil that's going to help with a headache, and you want this one oil, but there's so many variables, and you have to like, aromatherapy is uh, the oils can help with many things. They also might not help. So like you have to just always be willing to like kind of go with the flow, because everybody's different, and they are plant materials, and they are harvested at different times. And like we want the optimal of everything, obviously, and you want to have good oils, and you want to have all of those things so that you're getting like, ideally the best out of it. But for example, lavender, right? Most people, lavender makes people fall asleep. So like it's a great one. But there are like a handful of people, I don't know what the actual percentage is, that it just wires them up. It makes them
Yeah.
the exact opposite, right? So, it's not a black and white kind of thing. And that's aromatherapy just isn't, unfortunately. But neither is,
Anything else.
anything else. Like
Like,
exactly. I was like,
we are unique people, and what works for one person won't necessarily work for the next. That's why there's nothing standard that should be blanketed of like, this will help everybody, because everybody is unique and different and likes and dislikes and all of that.
yeah,
So
exactly.
absolutely.
So yeah, so I just think it's important that we keep those things in mind as we're working as aromatherapists, as we're working as new students in aromatherapy, that we're thinking of those things, and know that just like everything is fluid. So if someone, something says that it can help with, you know, tummy aches or digestive issues or something like that, then, just know that it could help. It's not likely to make it worse in 99% of the
No.
cases, like for sure. Um, but yeah, if your client tells you that, they have heavy periods, then you want to stay away from the oils that are going to maybe make that worse, even if that's not what they're there for. I just think that's
Yeah.
important to learn all that stuff. Um,
And also
Other
when
things,
looking, oh, also when looking at health conditions, right? Of just, if you don't know what a health condition is, don't be afraid to look it up and see what body systems those interact with. That's an important part. So if someone is an easy one is someone comes with you with, it's cold and flu season and they're just feeling under the weather. Okay, so you might want to look at the respiratory system. You might want to look at the lymphatic system, right? Those are systems that are going to be affected. So what oils can support the respiratory system? What oils can support the lymphatic system? And those are oils that you're going to be gravitating towards. And then seeing, what are their likes and dislikes and all that type of stuff too. But it's important to know, that's why we always, this is why we have an anatomy and physiology portion to the course, is because you need to know what these conditions are and what part of the body is being affected. Now, a lot of my clients come, for very standard things, things that I've known about for a long time. But every now and then I get a client where it's a condition where I'm like, I haven't heard of that before. Let's dive a little bit deeper. And it's just knowing where to get that proper education around it. I'm finding sources about the condition from associations or health agencies that are known for those health conditions, so that I can learn more about it. Don't be afraid to do that research and to find the proper information that's out there.
and ask your clients too.
Yeah,
They know, like, and if they don't, then, you guys can figure that journey out together. But yeah, ask your clients, because there's a good chance that they know more about their conditions other than just the name of it. So
absolutely.
you guys can work through that together. Um, One of the things too we thought we'd chat a bit about was just kind of going through things that you have to think about when you're making a blend. So, we've chatted a little bit about like big picture. When you kind of get like a little bit like smaller picture, you have to like actually make sure that you're making blends that are properly formulated for everybody. So you have to think about like the method of application. How are you going to give this to them? Is it going to be a roller bottle? Is it going to be a inhaler or diffuser blend? Are you going to make a balm or a salve or bath salts or what have you? So you have to like think about kind of what is the best way to like actually help them. So um, for me, if I have I'm gonna go back to tummy ache for some reason. My tummy's bothering me today, clearly. But I would make a roller bottle because I can just roll it on my tummy when I'm upset, right? So like, I'm not gonna make a bath for that because it's not gonna help me as quickly as I would want in the time because I probably can't stop my life and just go jump in the bath.
Whereas for me this week, honestly, I've been needing grounding. I've been just off, and I can tell my emotions have been off. So I've actually had 3 baths this week, and the temperature turned cold, which is always puts me in the mood for baths. So I think there's three nights this week I hopped into the bath with my aromatherapy blend just for grounding, emotional support, mood support. And when
which are
my skin
great
was
reasons to
dry,
make Yeah, and those are great reasons to make a bath blend for a
yeah,
client or for yourself is, for that grounding and
yeah,
calming
and
and
sore
stress
muscles.
reduction and sore muscles.
I
All,
had
yeah,
really sore
exactly.
muscles. So yeah, that was I chose in that moment to have a bath because I was, I'll say, home alone. My husband wasn't home to massage my back. So I was just like, great, I will have a bath with some pain management oils and instead of a topical blend. And that was fantastic. But yeah, knowing first what is it that you're going to make is absolutely important.
Yeah. And then you have to decide what oils you're going to use. So if you're picking your oils, you want to be looking for what are their dermal maximums. You want to make sure you think about any safety precautions. Is your client pregnant? Is your client
A
of a
child.
certain age? A child, exactly. So you have to like keep all of those things in mind. And then, if you're looking at your oil profiles, think about what what's the best choice for that. Um, for those of you who are on just the podcast audio, my puppy, who's been barking off and on for the last 45 minutes and delayed this podcast, has now jumped on my lap and is in the video. So I'm trying to
And his
keep him
very
quiet.
cuddly mood. He's so cute.
So just in case you're trying to wonder what we're kind of
What we're
laughing
laughing about. Yeah.
This is Apollo.
But yeah, age
Yeah,
absolutely matters, like you said. And also where you're applying the blend. Is it for the face? Because then you need to make sure that it's a lower percent, right? A 1%, 0.5, 1.25%. Or is it, going to go on your ankle because you twisted your ankle and you want to help something for that, right? Those are going to be very different percents that you're going to be using.
exactly. Um, what carrier oils are you going to use? Do you have a carrier oil that can support, the blend? If it is something you're making with carrier oils, obviously. I
And
think
don't be
that's
afraid to
important.
go outside your comfort zone with the carrier oils either.
You
I know
can't use
it's
just fractionated coconut oil for everything, Nikki. I
no,
do.
I know it is. The nice thing with it is because it has the long shelf life, and I get that, and it doesn't interfere and it doesn't stain. I 100% get that, but there's so much more. And we even had Susan Parker on who was talking about it.
I
Anyone
know.
who's in um, some of our Facebook groups, I've been obsessed with castor oil for a while now. And I always just bring it up because I use it every single day because it is anti-inflammatory and soothing, and do my castor oil packs and my hair masks, and which I put off this morning to record these episodes, and all of that. And so there's more to it, but I understand you don't want them to go rancid though. So you don't want to buy them in bulk quantities
Yeah,
because you want to use them before they go rancid. Absolutely. And that's the nice thing with fractionated coconut oil is that it does have such a long shelf life. But go aside the fractionated coconut oil. Look at
I
jojoba. Look at
agree.
rose.
I agree.
Look
I've
at
used lots
avocado.
of different ones as well. Keep them in the fridge; they'll last longer that way too.
Yeah. And just use your
Yeah.
cooking
So
oils. Like
Yes.
honestly, my avocado, my sesame, my olive, I'm missing one. There's another one that I often use that is just a cooking
Like that's
oil.
all I use, but yeah.
And
Yeah.
and it is like I either just pour a little bit out and have that in my aromatherapy stash, or I just bring the bottle back and forth.
Yeah,
Like
of
it's
course. No, that makes sense.
so that way they won't go rancid if you're cooking with them too.
Yeah. Um, if you're using, so if you have a brand new client who you've never worked with before and they come to you, Nikki, with like 5 different issues, what are
Mhm.
you going to do with them? Are you going to, make something for them for all of their issues? Or tell me more about that.
I love that because we see this often. Keep it simple. Keep it simple, silly. KISS method is what I like to do. And I always say silly at the end instead. But
I was like, that's not how I end that sentence.
I know I'm trying to keep it PG. But no, just honestly keep it simple. You usually when someone comes to see you, they're in overwhelm. They're coming because something isn't working. And depending on what it is, they might be in overwhelm, they might not be. But I always err on the side of they're in an overwhelmed mood. And even if they aren't, they might be someone like me where I have really come to notice that I get decision fatigue easier and easier. I don't know if it's just this stage of the year, stage of my life, I don't know what. But honestly, if I have to make a decision, it's not going to happen.
Fair.
It's decision fatigue is big for a lot of people. So if I have all of these products in front of me and I have to remember when to take what to take when, all these new changes, that is going to also throw me in overwhelm of like, do I do this, apply this one first or this one second? Do I do this diffuser now and then apply this one? Like, so keeping it simple, 1 to 2 things max, I would say. As soon as you get to 3, it can be too much for a lot of people. This is where it's also important to know your client. First time you see them, stick to that 1 to 2 max. Once you know them better, you have a good rapport, ask them specifically, and because sometimes we also like to have more than one option for a certain condition. So something like chronic pain, you want to have a topical blend for the area for chronic pain, but there's also a lot of great research that shows, just inhaling an aroma can help with the chronic pain because at that point we're working on the autonomic nervous system, we're bringing the parasympathetic back up, and all of that jazz which comes in with chronic
Yeah.
pain, getting out of that fight flight freeze zone. So having a personal inhaler and a topical blend for chronic pain condition is absolutely amazing to have. But as soon as you start, you need to ask them like, okay, if a massage blend and a personal inhaler is good, could you do a bath blend also? Would you be interested in a bath blend also to accompany that you could use at times? If they say, no, I don't like baths, then baths are out. But if they say, yeah, every now and then I like to take a bath and it wouldn't be, overwhelming for me to remember to use the oils in the bath, great. You could then make a bath blend as well. But you want to keep it to 1 to 2 things to start with, absolutely.
I found too also is that if you have a new client and you do 1 to 2 things to start, then you also can get that feedback on that one thing to see,
Yeah.
is it actually helping? Is that, roller bottle or diffuser blend or what have you, did it help? Did it help with whatever it was that was bothering them? If they have too many things, then you actually don't know if like which has helped as well. And you don't know if you need to tweak it. So like maybe if it's a pain blend, maybe yeah, it helps. It helps with the pain, it reduces it, but they still have pain. So maybe then you can tweak that blend if you're not at your like maximums, and you can take that back and tweak it and work with them until you can get that blend right. And then you can work on the next thing. So like they would then be able to continue to use the pain blend if they have pain, but now you can also help them with their upset tummy or their headaches, which I guess is kind of pain too, but a different kind usually.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
And it's also, and that just really made me think of, we also don't want to inundate the body too much, right? If we are using oils nonstop through the day, that can actually have the opposite effect. also. The nervous system is very much stimulated with essential oils. And if you are using them literally from morning to night, you could actually start having the opposite effect where it's causing headaches, where it's now putting your nervous system out of balance because it's just being like, okay, this is too much now. You have me going nonstop, that I'm tapped out and I'm now going into fight, flight, freeze zone again to try and get out of that state. So remember that you don't want to have too much either for that reason.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's a good reminder for sure. Because when we get into essential oils, it's usually the first thing we do is start using them for everything.
Right? I remember myself
All
doing
of
it.
us.
Like,
Yeah, I did it too, for sure. But now I find that like using them for specific things when I need them is actually better for me, at least. It's better
yeah,
for me. So
the body needs a break too. Not
yeah,
everything needs to be
exactly.
scented. That's the other thing I keep
Yeah.
telling people. Clean doesn't always need to be scented. I love adding my oils to cleaning products, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's like you don't need to have scent in every single room, every single product, every single aspect of your life. We've just become
Yeah.
a society where that expects scent and we don't need to.
No, I agree. And I know I've shared before too that like in my house that one of my kids has sensory issues. So sometimes scents are great and other times nope, 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 not allowed to have those. So I find that I end up making more things that are just for me. So like, you know, I wear necklaces and I use roller bottles or inhalers, things like that. So I can use it when I want to use it. And they can use it when they want to use it too. They do. But it's not just something that's always like happening in our household because it doesn't work for everybody. And
Yeah.
that's important to keep in mind.
Yeah.
So,
So, and all of these
um,
things, really, it makes me think back to the beginning of this conversation of looking at the big picture, right? We
yeah,
need to take the whole thing. And that's what holistic modalities are. You're looking at the whole person, not one specific area, but everything. Um, and so the person, the surroundings, the environment, what's going on emotionally, physically, all of that aspect.
and unfortunately, none of that is black and white.
No,
You can't just
there
open a
isn't.
book and be like, "This is what I'm going to use." No other thoughts need to happen. So.
Yeah, no. And that's not
um,
even, and you haven't even started really to take into consideration their personal preference either.
it's
Because
true.
you're not
Yep.
going to add peppermint to a blend, which has a very overpowering aroma when they don't like peppermint, right? So
Agreed. Agreed.
I've just come to the point where I can stand like one drop of patchouli in a blend at times. It has to depend on the day, the time, the moment that I'm using the blend. But like if they don't like an oil aroma, they're not going to use it. And then you've made that for nothing. They've wasted all that time, money also. And so we really we're here to support people. And so we need to look at it all.
Yeah. Um, if you guys have any questions about this, feel free to comment and let us know because we like to be able to give back feedback. Or if you have any other ideas and tips, we can add that to a future
Yeah.
podcast as well because everybody's has their own way of tackling this wide variety of essential oils and carrier oils and everything that we use in aromatherapy. So
Yeah. And just
we're always open
again,
for tips and tricks.
yeah. And just again of dealing with everyday life events, thinking outside the box. It's a good thing to have, good thing to need. And so
Sure.
absolutely. Well, I think that is a good spot to wrap up this episode. So thank you
Yep.
so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Vetiver Vibes. Nikki here with Rachel, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for spending your time with us here at Vetiver Vibes. This episode was brought to you by Essentria, a leading online aromatherapy school. Don't forget to check out some of our free resources at www.schoolofessentria.com.
If you love this episode or you got a lot of value out of it, please make sure you share it with someone in your community who you think would enjoy it too. If you haven't already subscribed or reviewed the show yet, you can go on over to your preferred streaming platform and hit subscribe, then leave a review. This is the best way to help support us, and we appreciate it. Email us with a screenshot of your review, and we will send you a free guided meditation as our way to say thank you.
This podcast is for information purposes only. We are certified clinical aromatherapists and holistic health professionals. If you have a medication concern, please refer to your health team. Everyone's health is unique to themselves, so the topics and suggestions stated may or may not apply directly to you.